everyone, Storm here, bringing you guys another First Descendant video, and today we've got our dashing daddy Keelan in the house. So I'm going to go over what Keelan's skills are, what modules we're going to be using on Keelan, what guns we're going to be using on Keelan, his reactor, his external components, and that Arche Tuning skill tree. I'm going to go over the first two builds because everything is the same on those two builds. And on the last build, the only thing that's going to change outside the modules is going to be the external components. With that said, let's hop right into the first build. Let's first start by looking at the skills that we're going to be talking about when we're talking about those modules. So the primary skill here is going to be Onslaught. You are just going to be dashing through each enemy. Then every time you dash through an enemy, if you pierce them, you get a 5-second cooldown on your dash, which is so effective. It's so great. It is going to keep your dashes up all the time if you're able to focus on piercing them, and we'll talk about why that's important a little bit later in this build here. Then this one right here, Void Corrosion, this essentially procs the enemies. I really only take time to use this when I'm going after a bigger enemy. Then right here, this Septic Gust just kills everything around you when you need that massive AoE. And this one right here is a much smaller range, but it packs a much bigger punch. So for that single target damage. All right, you guys, let's take a look at my favorite build here. Just a straight up mobbing one, no Transcendent module needed. I go with cooldown is so important for Keelan. As you can see here, this has a base cooldown of 55 seconds and we really want to reduce that. So I take Nimble Fingers, MP Conversion, focus on Toxic, and focus on Singular. These two are going to be straight up cooldown. The fantastic thing about Keelan, he doesn't have MP, so this one only positively impacts him. No negative impact at all. The focus on Toxic and focus on Singular are fantastic because they give you more damage and they also add that cooldown. Keelan is not a very high crit descendant. His base crit is only 5%. So taking Singular Amplification and Toxic Amplification just to add more damage to the build. Then, as I mentioned earlier, every single time you dash through an enemy right here, so you can see your pierce range, the higher that is, the more likely you are going to get that cooldown. So I wanted to have some range, so I took Skill Expansion and Amplification Control. Amplification Control is great because it gets you near your max right here on that radius and range, but it doesn't take the skill modifier away like maximize range would. So I use these two, skill expansion and then amplification control, just to boost it up. Here we're going to talk about our health a little bit. So that max HP is super important on Keelan. As you're right up in everyone's face, you're knocking them down. Then you get that max MP minus. Again, no MP for Keelan. It is all about the cooldowns. So only a positive right here. Then this one right here, I'm going to throw two options at you. I love the Spear and Shield because it just really helps me get that little extra push of damage and some defense, which again does help. If you are struggling with dying, switch this out with increased HP to just really increase that HP up. You'd be near 20k HP with everything else that I have on this build. So as I said, I'm going to take you out of here before I go on to the next two builds and explain what weapons we are using. So right here on Keelan, we are going to be using shotgun is my favorite. I like the smithereen just so I don't have to worry about hitting that specific weak point to up the damage. It just hit them and you get more damage. I also use this as a stat stick because I'm not using it on most enemies aside from elites, but increased grappling hook or sprint speed. You could do double sprint speed, is very effective with this as well. I just like to grapple around really fast, and I find this to be really helpful getting between spot to spot. This last dagger right here is super fantastic if you want to kill that boss at the end with something other than that smithereens. I'm going to just give you a quick look at the modules. If you want to use this, go ahead and screenshot it. I will go into a more in-depth of this on another build guide, but for now, we're focusing on Keelan. We're not really focusing on that shotgun. Screenshot it if you want it. Then we are going to talk about the inversion reinforcement here. So on this inversion reinforcement, I took on hitting an enemy with a skill grants Arche circulation for the tactic. You want more and more cooldown. It just helps you have 0 downtime on those abilities. Then right here, Getting that increased HP, again, just helps you survive so much longer in battle, especially Keelan, you're right up close with them. And then this one, Adrenaline Rush. We just want to be moving around the map as fast as we possibly can be. So we bring it right here to crush it with more movement speed, baby. All right, for that reactor, you're going to go with Toxic Singular, as Onslaught is our primary ability that we're using. My two favorite picks for the rolls on these is going to be skill cooldown, most important. Singular skill power damage is going to boost you up the most for that secondary slot. Then I use the Slayer set on Keelan because that extra bump in damage is just so useful. It is so great. There is not really a big skill cost for Keelan aside from pulling his last, and you're going to have plenty of it. So what we're going to talk about, max HP is going to be the only role you care about on this top one for the power. On the sensor, I like having a resistance and that consumable drop rate just because you can get that health as it's dropping from the enemies around you. Then on the memory, I go with the defense, again, just to help with that survivability, just makes you more survivable there. And on the last one, I like resistance and shield, but really anything is great. Equipment drop rate is fantastic as well, because that is going to help you really get, more reactors or whatever you're farming for. Keelan is a fantastic farming descendant, so that is super helpful on him. And what you're going to find yourself doing is you're just dashing through enemies, making it happen. Use that grapple in between, hit the bosses back and forth, then you are going to crush. Let's talk about the Arche Tuning skill tree. So I'm going to leave this here for you just a moment so you can just screenshot it if you need, just copy it exactly as I have it. What I did was I took the most skill damage I could get. I had to unfortunately take all that max MP to get to that cooldown. Very needed for this build though. Then that skill power right here, super important. And the reason I ended up coming down here to grab this health and this right here is just, again, when you pick up those health orbs, you get a little bit more health and you're up really close. You just want to save it. All right, you guys, let's hop into our next build. Focus on Prey. This is going to be Keelan's bossing build. Screenshot it right here if you want. So on this one, I didn't care about range as much because I'm just dashing back and forth through the boss. In fact, range is not something I really want because I want to stay nice and close and just rock him out. So I took that Stim Accelerant, increased HP right here. Again, you could switch this out like I did in the other one with that Spear and Shield to get that extra skill power. Very helpful. Nimble Fingers and MP Conversion. Focus on Toxic and Toxic Amplification, as well as that Singular. That whole set right here that we had in the last one is still there. The one difference I did, since I didn't need range, is I added a little more Toxic skill power, baby, as we are just focusing on that one enemy right here. And that Focus on Prey is just going to allow you to do massive single target damage. It increases your acidic stack. So when you pull it, it really just rocks their world. So essentially, it makes all of these just a little bit more powerful with that. Last, I'd like to talk about my mobile strike build. So with my mobile strike build, that is the one where I do change out. Again, I have him called my dashing daddy, baby. This one, I will go over the modules and then I will hit on those external components because this one, we do change those up. So what does Mobile Strike do? Mobile Strike change that Septic Gust or your AoE to do no damage, but instead it gives you Adventurous Spirit, which is going to make you just dash around. You have no cooldown of dashes during this time, and your duration shows you how long you go. So your goal is to have no overlap on this duration. So I have a 5.5 second cooldown with a 5.7 second duration. I never need to use my dashes on this build. I can just consistently hit my hunting time and then dash around here. So on this build, again, I took that Stim Accelerant. I went with MP Conversion and Nimble Fingers. I wanted that skill extension on this build because I want to make my duration last just long enough so that way I'm having zero overlap. Again, I want that amplification control and skill expansion to just dash a little bit further, make the most out of each dash. And then I've got that quad of singular amplification, focus on singular, focus on toxic, and toxic amplification. So this build right here, I'm going to show you, you can just dash, 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 then you hit it and you can dash again. It does keep you glued to the ground while you have Mobile Strike active, so you can't go up like you you can in the other builds and dash into the sky. But it is super effective, and I hope you guys love using it. Now, why I changed my external components out here is I needed that little bit of extra cooldown from the Hunter processor, getting it right here. Max shield and equipment drop rate is fantastic because you are going to be farming really fast with this build. Getting that extra stuff is great. Defense, again, the rolls don't really matter. I like the consumable drop rate just to get that health roll on the ground. Then the second one, Annihilation, I did it for the skill duration, just to get that little bit longer duration and make the cooldown and overlap work really well together. So max HP is going to be super important on here to keep that survivability up. Nothing else matters. Then on this one, just go for that defense and resistances, as you don't really need anything else. If you did want to farm up the levels of your gun, Keelan, like Bunny, is another great Descendant where you could put that firearm proficiency gain on and just dash through and not use the guns you hate to level it up. All right, you guys. So for the last part of the video, I just want to bring you through a little bit of how I play Keelan, the best ways to make the most out of him. So let's hop into some gameplay here and look at what our Dashing Daddy has for us. Yes. All right, you guys, so we're getting right into the action here. You see my quick turn at the end there. I'm just dashing through. My cooldowns stay up because I'm hitting them as I go through them. As my not having a Transcendent mod allows me to do that. You don't see any Septic Gust. I just dash, dash, dash because I want to have enemies to dash through to keep up that cooldown. Keelan thrives in areas like hallways. As you can see, I'm keeping that high number of dashes consistently because I'm going through and penetrating the enemies. Then up here, you can use elevation as you dash as well. So you don't have to dash just straight forward, then boom, right through. You smash a giant range of enemies. That's why you really want to keep that range up on your Keelan as well and just keep moving on through them. Then we are going to head on into the boss battle. All right, and here we are right in that final boss room. We are going to kill these guys super quick here. As you can see, we're making quick work of these guys. When you don't use that quick turn, it takes a second longer to turn. So really bind your keys down, whatever it is, because it's not naturally set. You have to go into your options and set that quick turn like I just did at the end there. So much more effective to kill, hit those bosses. Boom. Try to get that double dash and hit them both at the same time. Right here, we're going to get that finishing shot in. Then let's go back to Albion and just conclude our story. And here we are back in Albion with our Dashing Daddy Keelan. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Would you change anything? Is there anything that you'd like to see different about the build? I hope you enjoy this build and I hope it works for you. As I always say, ask away. Have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.